Greetings, Duels. Welcome to another video. Today, I'm going to be talking about the last TCG exclusive archetype that got released. That one being Gold Pride. So when it comes to TCG exclusive archetypes, it's very important to take a good glance out of the first wave of support that they get, because not only does that describe the theme behind the deck, but it also can tell you how playable will the archetype be in the future, and if it does do an impact in the current TCG format. When it comes to TCG exclusive archetypes as well, some of them had significant showing in the past, while some of them have been an absolute flop and did not do at all anything, despite a plethora of cards given as to them as support. As you guys probably know, the next TCG release is called Cyberstorm Axis, and we are already confirmed to get more Gold Pride cards for that TCG set. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to talk about the current cards we have right now, potential strategies you can do with them at the moment, and the approach that I took, and pretty much show an experiment with a few duels and just asking us the very important question: is this deck playable? Like, is Gold Pride like going to be a flop if it's actually fit for the current TCG? How relevant these cards are, and like things to look forward to in the future. So without further ado, let's begin. For the Gold Pride monsters, we have Captain Carry, Leon, Nitro Head. We also had Nitro Blaster and Star Leon. All the main deck monsters share the similar first effect, being that if your life points are lower than your opponent's, you can special summon them from your hand. In Captain Carry's case, if she is special summoned, she can add a Gold Pride trap card. Leon's effect, if it's normal special summoned, you can special summon a Gold Pride from your graveyard. If you do that, you're Xeno locked into Gold Pride monsters. Nitro Head is different from the other two. It does not have a when it's summoned effect. Instead, what it does is during the standby phase, you can give your opponent a token. That token is a Pyro level 8, but it cannot be used as a link material. They all also have a third effect. In Captain Carry's case, when she's sent to a graveyard, you can banish Gold Pride monster cards in general, to give extra deck monsters plus 500 attack. In Pride Leon's case, he has the ability to quick effect during your opponent's main phase to synchro summon for a Gold Pride specifically. Or actually, you can synchro summon into anything, but you can only use Gold Pride monsters. Take note that if you summon it and use its on summon effect during the same turn, you are Xeno locked. Nitro Head's effect, during your opponent's main phase, also has a quick effect. You can blow up the token and blow anything that's adjacent to the token. Now let's talk about the spell and traps. You have the Crowd Goes Wild. You reveal a Gold Pride monster in your hand. If you do that, you grab another Gold Pride with a different name. You can special summon one Gold Pride, and then you lose life points equal to whatever that Gold Pride's attack original was. Start your engines. If your opponent normals or special summons a monster, you can reveal 3 Gold Pride monsters from your deck. Your opponent randomly picks one, and you can special summon it, shuffle the rest back to your deck, and then destroy the targeted monster. So a few things to take note. These are all hard once per turn for all 3 effects. This one is also hard once per turn. The trap, surprisingly, is not hard once per turn, or it's not once per turn at all. And you can reveal this. You can reveal any name, even multiple copies of them. So, as now that we know what the cards do, at least the main deck monsters, let's go to the extra deck ones. You have Nitro Blaster. You can target one monster your opponent controls, blow it up. Then, if your life points are lower than your opponent, you can blow everything that's adjacent to the card's column. If you activate this effect during the end phase, you spin this card back to your extra deck and you special summon Nitro Head from your graveyard or your deck. Let's go to Leon. Leon, during the main phase, you can target one face-up monster your opponent controls. This card gains attack equal to the monster's to the target's original attack. Then, if your life points are lower than your opponent's, blow up that monster. You can only use this previous effect once per turn. During the end phase, if you activate this effect, you spin this card back to your extra deck, and then you summon Leon. So now that we know what the cards do, let's talk about how much non-engine can you fit into the deck while at the same time keep the deck strategy intact. One common archetype that people are mixing Gold Pride with are the punk monsters. When it comes to punk, this is an archetype that got released in Grand Creators back last year, and you have a majority of main deck monsters which have all an effect to add something if you pay 600 life points. This is beneficial for Gold Pride because you are lowering your life points with all the payments, meaning that at the beginning of the duel, you will have lower life than your opponent, meaning that you are going to benefit from all the Gold Pride effects. The reason I'm not playing Punk yet as an archetype here in the strategy is for 2 reasons. One, I want to see how playable this archetype is with its current card pool and how flexible it is for non-engine cards to be played in the deck. The second reason is when Cyberstorm Access releases, this archetype will probably be more relevant depending on the future support that it gets. And in order to have a proper idea of how playable the deck can be in the future, it's good to see the potential the cards have on their own without relying on the win conditions that are already given from other archetypes. So the other approach that I took was playing other life point deficit cards that can serve as utility, and have this deck being played either as a going first or going second deck, depending on the deck type I'm facing against. The cards I chose was Instant Fusion, Ready Fusion. The targets for that are Alvain and Theseus. And the other life point cards that I'm playing are Cosmic Cyclone and a Pointer of the Red Lotus. For non-engine, I'm playing Gamma, Ash, Ibiru, Imperm, evenly matched. And for draw cards, I chose with Desires because we're pretty much playing 3 of everything. The only thing about Desires is it can conflict with Start Your Engines because you probably will be losing names that you could reveal off this card. For other cards, I'm playing pretty much a plethora of synchro cards, synchro monsters, since we're playing two tuners, and Gold Pride is also a tuner. And the only Link monster we're currently playing is Blaster. Um, the cards I chose are Dragite, Baron, Crimson Blader, 3 Leon, Omega, Punisher, Starlight, and Shenyan. Um, Shenyan and Baron can be made with Alvain and Nitro Head, that being a combination of 8 plus 2. Also, if you end up summoning Gamma and you have Gamma Driver alongside something like the Ready Fusion or like Nitro Head, you can use the Gamma plus Nitro as well. The cool thing about Dragite is you run Nibiru in your main deck, so it's a potential excavate that can trigger its bounce effect. Also, Golden Carry and Theseus are both water monsters, meaning it will give it its spell and trap negation effect. Crimson Blader I felt is like a really good card against a lot of archetypes in the current metagame. Any deck that can summon level 8 synchros, I feel can benefit from this card, because if you do resolve its effect, you could shut down potential strategies like Branded or Kashtira. I'm playing Cypher Omega. Since I'm playing Gamma, it kind of fits. The other way you can make it is pretty much with Theseus and Leon, but yeah, I just felt like it's just another generic level 8 that can be played in the archetype and can fit with the theme. I'm playing Psychic and Punisher. Psychic and Punisher, I feel like it's going to be a win condition for a deck like Gold Pride, because it's also a card that benefits out of you having less life points than your opponent. I'm playing Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend. It's just another level 8. It serves as removal. Like, it's pretty much for clearing boards. Chenyan, another just good level 10. You don't banish a lot with this deck outside of like Cosmic, Gamma, Omega, and Gold and Captain Carry also triggers when to banish cards. So there's not a lot of banishing, but you do have a few cards that do trigger Shenyan. And you guys already know about the Gold Prides. For side deck, I chose Eclipse, Trunade, Anti-Spell, Barrier, and there can be only one. This does conflict with Gamma, but outside of that, everything are different types. So it kind of works against a few decks like Kashtira, for example. Like Trap Tricks could be an archetype that could struggle with this if they don't open the right name, or you catch them off guard. Labyrinth is just another example. Sword Soul. Barrett's just another floodgate. Like Anti-Spell, another floodgate. And this is pretty much just removal utility. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to showcase 3 different duels. And we'll see just how playable the archetype is at the moment. So here's the first duel. I don't recall which one won the die roll, but I think my opponent went first. This is against Kashtira. He summons Unicorn. I respond with Imperm. He crossouts. He activates Theosis, resolves Fenrir. I try to Gamma. He tries to Ash. I activate Desires. Desires goes through. I draw into another Gamma and Nitro Head. At this current moment, I have we both are at the same life point amount, so it's really hard for this hand to be playable at the moment. My opponent knows I have Gamma, so I'm just going to end turn. If the opponent respects Gamma, I should not be getting OTK'd. Depending on the rest of his hand or on the set, like it could be a different story. He switches Fenrir into attack position. He tries to activate Rise Heart. I contemplate it on Gamma. I do not trigger it. He attacks with all three. He does not activate any of them, pretty much preventing the Gamma. Now my life points are lower than my opponent's. Currently I am at 1600. He is at 8000. Let's see what happens here. I special summon Nitro Head. He lets it go through. I normal summon Ash Blossom. He also does not respond. And having those two means I summon Psychic and Punisher. This is pretty much game because Psychic and Punisher will raise the attack by the difference, that being 6400, meaning it will end up with 9900 attack, and that means that I go in, I attack the Rise Heart, and that's game. We go to our next duel. My opponent goes first again. He summons Unicorn, gets Theosis. Theosis triggers, summons Ogre. Ogre grabs Preparations. He activates Birth. He summons Fenrir. He gets Kashtira. And he Rise Heart passes. I activate Ready Fusion, since my life points are the same as his. He's thinking on the activation. He's responding with flipping Preparations. Pretty much he's making sure that he can contest with whatever I am summoning, with not only a Rise Heart but with another like Kashtira summon as well. Ready Fusion resolves. I summon the Theseus. A Rise Heart triggers to grab a card. I special carry. He imperms. He grabs that, and he banishes the Theseus. That triggers. Then I summon the Nitro Blaster, the Nitro Head, and this is very important because now I link away these two into Nitro Blaster. Take note that a Rise Heart is adjacent to the Birth, meaning that Nitro Blaster is already an issue for him. That being said, a Rise Heart triggers. He grabs another piece of Captain Carry. I trigger Nitro Blaster. Nitro Blaster will pop the Rise Heart. I do not trigger Golden Carry's effect. I don't have any Gold Tribe monsters. I tell my opponent that Birth is popped because I have lower life points, meaning that cards adjacent to a Rise Heart also get popped. He misread. He thought Preparation was getting popped. He grabs the Preparations back soon. Eventually he catches it. I opted to not attack with Nitro Blaster. The reason I don't attack with it is because I want my life point to be lower than my opponent's. He catches on the Preparations. I keep Cosmic in hand because I'm thinking before the turn ends, he's going to trigger Preparations to like summon a guy. And I just want to make sure that I have the answer for it. If he does not trigger it, I have start your engines already set, which means I can contest with it on the next turn. He tries to preparations during the end phase. I change Cyclone. Now my life points are 6,000. He is at 8. And then the turn passes. I return Nitro Blaster to summon Nitro Head. And if you roll Nitro Head's effect, this card is pretty much a win condition versus Kashtira. That being said, my opponent immediately during the draw phase activates Book of Eclipse. That's a very good eye on him because he knows that Nitro Blaster will give him a token during the standby phase. Now we're currently in main phase. He activates Kashtira Birth. He's trying to trigger Birth. Birth summons Unicorn. I trigger Start Your Engines. I reveal Carry Leon. He die rolls for Carry. Carry summons. Unicorn gets popped. I grabbed another copy of Start Your Engines. He tries to summon the Kashtira. I chain Lotus. And I banish the Kashtira. I activate Desires. Desires goes through. He chains the Kashtira. Dax gets summoned. I flip Nitro Head and I summon Nitro Blaster. Again, he made the same mistake, summoning next to Birth in adjacent zones. And the duel ends with me just cycling resources. So, as you can tell, Gold Pride has a very good Kashtira matchup if your opponent does not respect the columns, because you will capitalize off their effects, and you do have cards that keep interrupting with their summons. Let's go to the next duel. This one is against Kashtira Adventure Scareclaw. I win the die roll. I don't have any cards except for any playable cards, so I flip a pointer. He activates Field Spell. He summons Acro. He goes into Lightheart. If you've seen previous videos from my channel, you already know that I am a fan of this archetype. It is my current archetype that I'm playing the TCG. So that being said, I already know his hand and I scoop it up. He summons. He grabs the. He tries to chain Rhyphobia with Faithful Adventure. If you notice my hand, I have Nibiru and I have Imperm. If you're struggling against this archetype, if you resolve Nibiru plus another card, it's pretty much a wrap. But let's see how it goes. He chain blocks, he grabs Rhyphobia, he triggers Faithful Adventure, he summons Griffin, he grabs Reichhardt summons, he grabs Twinsaw grabs, he summons, he goes for Tryhard. I nib, he chains Griffin, I chain Imperm. He loses everything. This is pretty much everything you want to do against Scareclaw. You want to let him commit into everything and then just have your summons go through. I summon Nitro Head, I have less life points, I summon Baron the Floor, and I attack for 6k. Pretty much simplifying the game state. He Faithful Adventures, I let it go through. He banishes, grabs right, he activates right, summons. He tries to Bestial Magnamut, I let it go through. Bestial Magnamut triggers. He goes into Dark into that. Unicorn, he forces the Baron. I have to Baron here. He has the Kashtira, he summons, he grabs Rhyphobia, he tries to trigger Rhyphobia, I have Cosmic, and that's game. Now let's go to game 3. My opponent goes first. Something very important to note, he has Solemn Judgment. This was a very heads-up move from him, and as you will soon see with this duel, this card plays a very significant role on this duel itself. So Fenrir, right? he tries to go for the combo again. This time he does not chain block, which is weird. It kind of plays into Ash. He grabs Riffin. Another thing to note, he grabbed Visa Starfrost instead of like going for Reinhardt. This means that he's trying to go for a Baron line. This is the moment I Nibiru'd. The reason I Nibiru here is because like a greedier opponent will probably Lightheart first from the graveyard, but I don't want him summoning Baron. So I trigger Nib, he triggers Griffin, I trigger Gamma, and pretty much he's a repeat of game 2. He says Judgment and passes. I ready Fusion, I do Theosis, I summon Captain Carry, I activate Captain Carry's effect, I grab Start Your Engines, and here I go into Dragite, and on the Dragite summon, he summons. This is really bad because this means that he'll be at lower life points, meaning that Leon, Nitro Head are both dead. Like they can't special summon themselves from hand. And this will pretty much force me to pass turn unless I do something else here. So one thing to note, I have not normal summoned. I normal summon Leon. Leon triggers. He summons Carry. And I go into start Leon. So 2 mistakes I make here. One, I did not summon Nitro. I did not summon Nitro Head. Nitro Blaster. Nitro Blaster would have won me the duel outright because it would have meant that I would have popped the token. He was at 4K. This was 53. I would have swung with both of them, and I would have won for game. The other thing I did not do is I did not trigger Captain Carry to banish whatever gold price I had to give it more attack. That's very important to note and to do. You can make the argument that you want to keep gold price in your graveyard for like recursion with Star Leon. And then we'll start your engines. But that being said, I'm going to play the rest of this duel. I gain the attack of the token, but I do not pop it because I don't have more life points. That's also another thing to note. Like Nibiru's token is not confirmed if it's gaining the original attack. So I am unsure if the Star Leon gains the attack of the token. That being said, I already mentioned my misplay. But this is very important to note whenever you're playing a deck like Gold Pride. So he grabs Rhyphobia, he triggers, he grabs Reinhardt, and this pretty much he pretty much has game. Like he's gonna summon Enchantress, he makes Reinhardt, change my monsters in defense, he pops, summons, triggers, and that's game. Last replay. This is against Runic Sprite. He goes first. He summons Yugen, Grass Fountain, Angler triggers, summons Beavers. He tries to Gigantic, Imperm. He summons Hyperia. He starters for blue, blue for Jet, Jet for Double Cross. He grabs Mannequin Cat. He sends Soul Scissors with Sprint. And I draw for turn. I Cosmic. That puts me at lower life points. I imperm to make sure I can do mannequin cat. The mannequin cat does not trigger. And I lost the first duel on, I don't know if you guys noticed, but for those who did not, he had less life points than me in game one because he triggered starter, sprite starter, and sprite starter put him at a lower life point deficit. So that's something very important to note when it comes to the sprite matchup. Be very apparent of your life points, because they do have life point reducing cards. Fast forward to game 2, I go first, I activate desires, desire goes through, I set barrier and cosmic, and I pass. And that kind of shows you like a weakness with gold pride. If you do not have a consistent way of lowering your life points with non-archetype cards, you will have to skip your turn, pretty much like I did in this turn 1. He triggers flashing fire, I activate dimensional barrier, he just attacks with beaver and passes. I attack with Leon, he's still at lower life points, so I cannot trigger anything. So this was huge. Him summoning red in defense made it so I am at 6,700. Well, it's 7,700 to his 69, which means that now I am at a lower life point deficit after I resolve this instant fusion. So I resolve instant fusion, I summon Alvain, my life points are lower now, so I can summon that, I activate Baron, and I set the red. And he shows me the rest of his hand, it's a brick, so we go to game 3. So game 3, he goes first, he banishes Ash Blossom, he triggers Fountain, Fountain Hugin, Pitch, grabs Fountain, Fountain resolves, he summons, Blue for Carrot, Carrot Jet, Jet triggers, grabs Double Cross, he summons Gigantic, Gigantic summons, he makes Sprint, he triggers that, he summons Mannequin Cat, and he summons the Gigantic. That already tells me that he has like the virus set. He has Eradicator, which is not good news for us. But let's see how it goes. I draw for turn. He triggers Death Calling spells. I chain Cosmic, targeting Fountain. He triggers Carrot. I show him like my hand. He grabs with Tip, I set Anti-Spell, and I set Start Your Engines. He activates, he grabs Freezing Curses, he draws into 2 starters. Oh, and he draws a 3rd starter for turn, which is like kind of surprising. That being said, I immediately flip Anti-Spell, he flips the starter. Turn passes for a sec. He grabs Jet. Jet summons. Jet grabs Smashers. He cannot trigger that because of anti-spell. He summons IP. After that, he double crosses. I chain Start Your Engines to the IP summon. He kinda did double cross preemptively. He carrot to negates. He grabs Ibli. Ibli is summoned. He tries to IP. He tries to summon Unicorn. I remind him that he's under Sprite Starter, so he cannot summon the Unicorn. He spins it back, and he passes turn. So I drew Gamma for turn, and this is very, very important because I go to main phase, I trigger Leon, and my opponent misplays because he triggers IP, and that makes it so I can play with Gamma. And he cannot chain starter, he cannot chain anything because he has Ibli. He's under Ibli. I summon Omega, I attack Carrot, I pass turn, he smashers, I chain Omega, he banners Leon, he tries to starter, and he ends the duel because he notices that pretty much all his blue targets are already like they were already expended. Um, so I draw for turn. I showcase the rest of what I can do. I summon Omega, and that's the end of the duel. So let's go back to the deck. Um, so closing thoughts. First, the big weakness of the deck, you do not have enough life point paying cards. You can say that is mitigated by playing the Punk engine. Like, my issue with that is that I think the Punk engine, it's better played in itself without the gold prides. I don't think Gold Prides is a good engine for Punk. Same way I don't think, like, if you play Punk into the Gold Pride archetype, you're kinda not playing the Gold Pride archetype, if you understand what I mean. But right now, as of the time of this recording, playing it alongside Punk is the best strategy for it. Second thing to note, crowd goes wild. When we get our next wave of support, if we get more main deck monsters, this card will be more viable, and this card will be even more powerful because it means it will give us a lot more options. Same thing with Start Your Engines. I feel like the big weakness of Start Your Engines is we only have 3 main deck monsters, meaning that our options for this card's effect and resolve is very, very limited. As far as the extra deck monsters go, I think they're really good. I think Nitro Blaster is a very good going second card. I think Star Leon being generic makes it really good because it gives you the avenue of playing Gold Pride alongside other archetypes or other engines like Punk, for example. But yeah, like my pretty much my closing thoughts is when it comes to this archetype, I feel like the archetype has a solid win condition. It does fit well into our current meta game, what its current win condition is. The biggest issue is we don't have enough cards that work with the archetype. When Cyberstorm Access releases, we'll probably see what happens there. We'll probably see a resurgence like of the TCG releases and see like how well will the Gold Sprite strategy fit with the cards that get released in the future. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like, this is it from me. Keep practicing and keep dueling.